Welcome back. I'm here today with my 2022 Ford F-150 Lightning that I've owned for about 3 weeks now. And I have a special treat for the Lightning fans out there. I had the opportunity to chat with Darren Palmer. Now, Darren is the Vice President of Electric Vehicle Operations for Ford Model E. And if you're not sure what Ford Model E is, don't be concerned. A lot of people don't know what it is because it's a new division. Ford recently kind of split the company up into 3 separate divisions. They have Ford Blue, which is their conventionally fueled vehicle division, Ford Model E, which is going to be all of Ford's electric vehicles, and then Ford Pro, which is the commercial arm of the company. So Darren is the Vice President of Electric Vehicle Operations for Ford Model E. He is at the top of the food chain when it comes to electric vehicles for Ford. I've chatted with Darren before. I absolutely love the guy. He's the real deal. He's not just some executive talking company speak. He is as enthusiastic about this shift to electrification as any executive that I found in any of the major brands. So when I found out that I had the opportunity to talk to him for a little while about the Lightning, I jumped right on it. Now, before we get into the interview with Darren, I want to remind my followers here that this channel is sponsored by Q-Merit. Q-Merit is the leading installer of electric vehicle charging equipment in North America. Now, I know a lot of people might be tempted to install their own electric vehicle charging equipment at home, but I urge you not to. It's just not something that you want to take on yourself. The downside is too big if you make even the slightest mistake. So call a professional, and I urge my followers to follow the link in the description of this video, click on Q-Merit's link, and get a free, no hassle, no charge estimate to install your home charging equipment. So we're here today with Darren Palmer. He is the Vice President of Electric Vehicle Programs for Ford Model E. I've spoken with Darren in the past, but back then he was just the general manager of Ford battery electric vehicles. Now he's a VP. So I appreciate you coming on today, making the time to talk to me about my F-150 Lightning experience. I've owned my truck now for a little over 2 weeks. Loving it so far, Darren. Great, super great job. But as always, everything's not perfect with anything. So we're going to talk a little bit about the truck in general. I'm going to ask you about a couple of the things that maybe I'm not 100% satisfied with, and we'll see how you respond to those. But thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure talking to fellow enthusiasts.
And Darren is an enthusiast. You know, I get to go on media drives for all the different manufacturers, and you can tell the people at the different companies that are doing it because it's their job, and then the people that are doing it because they love what they're doing. And Darren is that person. He loves this. I think he absolutely is all in on electrification. You know, he gets as enthused as I do when we're talking about this. I remember the first time I got a chance to ride in a Lightning, Darren took me around Ford's test track, and I could watch him smiling as much as I was as we were doing this. So he was excited, and he was super proud of his new baby that was yet to be delivered at the time, but they were well far into production, and I appreciate that. We had some fun. I think you even exceeded the speed limit that you were supposed to do on the track that day, but we won't tell anyone.
Possibly comment on that.
So listen, I'm going to jump right into it. I know you don't have a lot of time. I appreciate you coming in to chat with me today about this. And one of the first things I want to talk about, as you know, my YouTube channel, State of Charge, I really focus on electric vehicle charging. I'm a charging geek. And so let's talk a little bit about F-150 Lightning charging strategy. It charges differently than any other electric vehicle that I've charged, and I've charged them all. And the unique thing about it is when you first plug in, you get like this maximum power boost for a short period of time, and then it levels off and will hold the charge level for a while. And while many electric vehicles have a little bit of a higher boost when you plug in early on, like under 10% state of charge, you might get a little bit more than what you get the rest, but then it quickly ramps down. I mean, I also own a Tesla. That's the way it works. When I plug in on a 250 kilowatt station, I get 250 kilowatts for like 2 minutes, and then it ramps down. for the rest of the thing, but it'll only do that at a very low state of charge. What I'm experiencing now with the Lightning, because I'm plugging it at all different states of charges, I get that max power boost even at higher state of charges. And I've never seen that on any electric vehicle before. Could you tell us a little bit about why you've done this and gone sort of against the grain and have a different charging profile on the Lightning?
Yeah, so I mean, everything about this truck has been designed with customer use cases. So human-centered design was really at the center of what we did, because in this phase of vehicle development, past designs and performance are not necessarily indication of what comes later. So that's when you rely on human-centric. You just watch people and what they want, and that's what we're trying to do. So the vehicle is optimized for two things. One, people who want the most possible in the shortest time, that use case where you pull up, give me everything I can until I've reached a charge I'm satisfied with because I'm on a journey. That's one. And then the second one is the charge time up to 80%. We now run to 90, but up to 80%, because that's where somebody wants to fully charge their EV from a DC charge. So they're the two things it's optimized for. A lot of journeys, we see how somebody, they're going to Chicago, for example, the vehicle will ask them to charge, and it optimizes where to stop, how often, and how long to charge. And most journeys, it's not going to hold you there till 80%. So we want to give you the most we can whenever you stop, whatever your charge is, so that you can get away quickly. I mean, that's really the heart of it. I will also say the complete system is over-the-air updatable, and it's continuous development. So even you saw feedback from the Mach-E where customers said, hey, I want 90%. We listened because that's what customers wanted, and we adjusted it very quickly to go to 90%. And you see that we launched the F-150 does go up to 90 now. So I would also say it's continuous development as people tell us what they want.
Mm-hmm. And when Darren says it goes up to 90, it doesn't shut off at 90. What he means is it holds a higher state of rate of charge up until 90%. Many electric vehicles start to really tail off after they hit 80% state of charge. Mach-E customers asked for a little bit more, and they gave it to them. So hopefully we're going to see continuous improvement with Lightning also. It's such a big battery pack. I think that you have even a little more leeway to push the limits a little bit, so with the over-the-air updates, we can do that. Now, right now, you advertise, is it 15 to 80 in 42 minutes? I think is what
41 minutes, I believe.
41 minutes. So I just did a recording 2 days ago. I haven't even published this video yet. And I went 15 to 80 in 38 minutes. It was like 38 and a half minutes. So I even beat what Ford is promising. I mean, I'm sure you're not promising the absolute perfect, like best it can ever do, because very rarely do EVs get that. Battery temperatures plays a huge role in what the charging profile is going to be like. So I actually did better than what you're promising. Not on every recording, because some of them you get a different. It depends on the charging station battery temperature. But I just got 38 minutes. So good on you. But it can do better. We'd like to get that 15 to 80 down closer to 30 minutes for people on long drives, and that would be fantastic. But you mentioned Mach-E a second ago, and we're not here to talk about Mach-E. We're here to talk about Lightning, and I hope I'm not throwing you off the course completely. Is there any concern about, and we know the Mach-E has a recall recently, and it was there was issues with the battery with the little tabs overheating. This isn't the first time. Tesla saw a problem with this years ago also on their high performance cars. But is there any concern that this might happen with Lightning, or is it a different design? Can you talk a little bit about that, or is that a subject we shouldn't be talking about today?
No, of course we're open to talk about any subject. You know our attitude on all of this. So it's completely different design. So this one, the Lightning, it was tested at full load in the worst place in the country, up the worst hill on the hottest day. I mean, that there can be no chance of F-150s not being tough in the way people expect. So they're ready for every abuse. And I mean, we're talking about hours up a hill in the 120 degrees heat while towing. So it's extremely robust. Actually, what the system wasn't robust enough when we tested it. and there was a one called Iowa Hill that in a gas vehicle would not have been the worst case, but we test the complete suite anyway. And actually, that was the one that was really tough. It was a stop-start traffic with a 10,000-pound trailer up a hill in 110 degrees odd. And it slowly cooked the system because of the airflow. It also showed us that the two-wheel drive variant at the time would not have met our requirements. So we decided, hey, let's go all in on all-wheel drive. And we added extra cooling, and we completely revised the ISC control unit, the motor control unit, to be much more robust. We had to move the copper to make it smaller with lower resistance so that it didn't generate so much heat. We really had to do a lot to change that unit. So it's a completely different design, and we think extremely robust to that.
That's fantastic. And, I haven't done much towing with it yet, but I've had a lot of people comment on my channel and that, the truck's worthless because I can't tow, 10,000 pounds from North Dakota to Texas twice a month. And while you could physically do that, well, I don't know, depending on where the charging stations, we don't have the proper pull-through charging stations yet. I mean, that's not your problem necessarily, but, we just don't have the infrastructure to really accommodate that. My answer to that is, I'd like to hear what you have to say, is it doesn't have to work for every single person in every single use case. It can do that. It wouldn't be ideal. There's going to be some instances where a diesel F-150 performs better in a work environment than the Lightning. While it can do it, it's not optimized for that. But I think that's a small percentage of the use case. You can still buy the diesel and gas F-150s. Is that your opinion, or are you saying, nope, the Lightning can do everything, do whatever you want with it?
So we've been watching towing, and before we launched, we did a huge amount of work on the vehicle understanding what you're towing and being able to give you accuracy. So that was our number one. I've talked to you about our goal being that you set your trailer up, the vehicle learns your trailer if you follow the process, and then it will adjust your range, and then it learns it when you drive. The first times you drive it, or if you drive a little route, it will learn your exact trailer and what the pull is on the trailer and adjust your range. So the first thing is accuracy, because we wanted really 5% accuracy before you even leave, so that you are never left in doubt of what your range is and where you can stop. And the system will, of course, plan your stops for you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is with watching customers with a reasonably sized trailer of a reasonable weight. People are getting, it drops the range to, say, 160, something like that. And that's quite a good use case for a lot of people. You can do a lot of things you want to do. People moving things around within that couple of hours driving range. If you want to go further, you can. You'll have to plan a little bit and stop. But a lot of people are finding that. And if you've got a reasonably aerodynamic trailer, that's what you're getting. And if you're going to tow a long way with an electric, get a reasonably aerodynamic trailer, right? Because that would be sensible. If you get the worst brick you can imagine, and there's a few tests out there where people have done that, a 20-foot trailer with the highest possible, then you can get worse. If you want to try to get worse, you can. The vehicle will still estimate that, and it will estimate it accurately. And we took every video we saw online that customers had an experience, and we replicate it to say, is our system accurately measuring the range? And it is actually. A couple of ones online, people tested it and didn't press the OK button, so they didn't actually initiate the navigation system's measurement device to tell you what the range is. We replicated it. It showed the same range. So yes, you can make it, worse if you want to. You can pick the absolute worst trailer. But most people, with a reasonable trailer, a reasonable boat, it gets down to about 160. So there are going to be some use cases where people say, hey, I tow every weekend 1,000 miles. Okay, it's probably not for you yet. I would suggest the hybrid, actually. The hybrid has some benefits. But for most people, a lot more people than we thought, this is the right truck. And actually, some of that skepticism is what drove the lower predictions on volumes on these vehicles, even for us, because, hey, people saw the negativity. But actually, there's a lot of people that it's ready for them right now. And that's what the proof point was in the deposits. That's why we saw over 220,000 deposits. And those people are all converting to orders. In fact, my inbox is full on a daily basis of when can I order, where's my truck, and so on. I love that. I love that people want it. If I opened up ordering right now, I believe I'd get a huge extra number of orders. So there's a lot of people where it's great. And for me, for example, once I've got used to it, there's two things. One, I've got to say, I can't stand driving gas anymore. I just can't stand it. It irritates me now. And so even if I had to stop a little bit more, I'd still tank my gas. I'd still take my electric. Sorry, I went up north a weekend ago. I went a long way, and I had to make one more stop than I would have had to with gas. And the charger at that location was 75 kilowatt, one of those 75 kilowatt shared, and I had to wait longer. So I left early in the morning. I left a little bit earlier, drove straight to the service station, and then parked, plugged, and went and got breakfast. Then freshened up a little bit and did some emails. And by the time I was done, it was ready, and I drove all the way home. Actually, I had 8 miles to spare when I got home, and I said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to test it. I'm going to live it. And if it doesn't work, I will be stranded. So I set off and I drove home, and it tracked me all the way. It actually used the cloud enhanced system to drop my mileage. It previously said 320 and it dropped to 270 because I was going to be at highway speeds all the way. And it said I'll have 8 miles spare. And I got home. If I went too fast, it would start dropping. If I went slower, it would go up again. And I could play with that as I drove. And I arrived home with 8 miles spare after a 270 something mile trip. So that's how I think a lot of people can use it. And if I was towing a trailer 300 miles, I would still use the electric because I want all the things the electric does. And how effortlessly it tows a trailer, actually. I would put up with that because of all the other benefits. I would still tow the trailer.
Understood. As long as you could get a charging station in between that you can pull into, because it's a big problem today with how the charging stations are set up. They're not set up for trucks with trailers yet. We have to get these pull-through stations out there. Otherwise, people can have a problem on the road trip. The truck could make the journey and do the tow, but if it can't get in the parking lot and without having to, you don't want to have to disconnect your trailer, put it in a parking spot, pull over. I mean, nobody wants to deal with that. But hopefully this new infrastructure bill, that's going to be taken care of. People are going to plan that into it. Now that we have electric trucks, we didn't have them before. So it was kind of like chicken and the egg, but hopefully we'll get more pull through stations. Now, you talked a little bit about supply before, about the amount of orders you had and everything. And that's definitely one of my questions and you mentioned you could sell 1 million of them, if you opened up the order books tomorrow. And I'm just surprised that Ford didn't realize this ahead of time and plan. I have people stopping me on the road, offering me money for my Lightning. Just last week, somebody came up to me and said, "What do you want for it?" And I said, "I'm not selling. I just got it." And he said, "I'll give you $110,000 for it." Now I paid $80,000 for it. And in 2 weeks, pretty good return on investment. But obviously, I'm not choosing to sell it. And he followed up with, "Okay, then name your price, humor me." And I just told him, "No, listen, I do this for a living. I can't sell it." You could be selling so many of these. How is it that Ford didn't see that ahead of time? And how is it that the VP of electric vehicle programs can't pound your fist on the desk and tell the guys, "I want 250,000 Lightning built in 2023. Why is that? Tell me why. And this isn't supply chain, because this was before supply chain problems. Could you explain to the viewers why it takes so long to spool up like that?
Yeah, it does. So first thing is we are running up. We are significantly increasing production for next year. We are refitting the plant. So we had just finished building some of the walls and we're knocking them down again.
I was there when you were building it.
Yeah. So we are significantly increasing. So we will hit a run rate of 150,000 units a year. We initiated that actually last year when I was in the general manager job, when we saw the reservation demand. We said, wow, we really need to go higher. So we're doing that. That will I think they'll be the best. I think it's the best-selling electric truck in the world right now, and it will be through end of year. Then next year it will again push forward. So I think it will put it in a very strong leadership position. We had to go and get the batteries for that. So these are big batteries, and we had to go and secure those in an environment that is a little bit supply constrained at the moment, especially on battery materials. So we have done that. That's now locked in and concurred. So we'll be running at 150,000 run rate, which is significantly above what we initially estimated. And I mean, at that time, I've got to say, we had every survey going about electric vehicle take up from every agency, and we were looking at it all together, and nobody predicted that level of demand would occur in 2022. Nobody did. So, to stand behind that, you've got to put a lot of millions of dollars behind such a thing. And so we're willing to do that. And even are we willing to sacrifice some gas production to do that? You've got to ask yourself as a company, are you willing to do that? And we were willing to do that because it's so important. So these are big decisions. And I got to say our manufacturing and purchase teams have reacted extremely quickly to be able to put that in place for us to be able to get there quickly. So it's very fast. It's usually 3 years to put these things in and design and release. We're going to do that in less than a year to increase that production. So part of the strategy we took, building the vehicle in the main plant, has allowed us to do that. So it's still not going to satisfy the insatiable demand that we're seeing, but it gets us much, much closer. And we're going to keep going. We'll keep going and seeing what we can do. Some weeks they're outpacing the plan on both Mach-E and F-150. So, if they carry on doing that, it's going to help us to get there. One thing is we have a complete lineup of vehicles. They really start at 39,974. So that is what's creating demand as well. It's not just for the elite, it's for everybody. And you saw that we released all of them at the same time. And there's a mix of them that we're trying to manage to make sure doing it in waves so that when we tell somebody they're getting a vehicle, they really are, because they're so eager to get them. We can upset them if we take an order and we can't deliver. So that's why we've done it in waves. The next wave is about to open actually. And so far the waves are working quite well. So we know what we have available. We offer it to customers. They order. We give them a reasonable date. And now we're getting past our initial launch. They should be reasonably accurate. Customers want an update every day, understandably, because they love the product, which is great. So that's working quite well so far. Chip shortage is a constant challenge for the whole industry, but the EVs are prioritized. So if we have chips, they're going to the EVs first. So that's happening on Mach-E and it's happening here. So we're managing that on a daily basis. So far so good, but the EVs are a priority.
Well, that's good to hear. You mentioned that it starts at under $40,000, and my local dealer here, and I'm going to shout out to them, Maple Crest Ford in Mendham, New Jersey. They've been fantastic. They sold me my Lightning at MSRP, no questions asked. They didn't know that I was a member of the media when I went in there. It wasn't a special deal that I got. They're selling all the Lightning and Bronco, which is also a super high demand vehicle, at MSRP if you order them. They have a Lightning, a standard range Pro base model as their static on the showroom that they have to keep for 6 months. And I went and checked the whole thing out. It's white. It's at 41,000, I think. After the little add-ons they do, that window etching and so forth. Now they're not selling it at that because inventory vehicles they probably will put a premium on, but ordered vehicles MSRP. And I'm looking at this truck, Darren, honestly, and I'm saying this is absolutely the best deal on an electric vehicle that you can get today. Maybe a best deal on a truck, just in general. This whole vehicle at $40,000, it's crazy that you're able to put that out for that price. Amazing. And is it profitable for Ford at that price? I was almost looking at it and saying it's hard to believe that Ford's making money on this at $39,900 for everything it has.
Well, the strategy we took for the F-150 Lightning enables us to give the best value. So we considered the first one, shall we do ground up? And what will it give for customer and what's the advantage and disadvantage? We went with the whole bottom of the vehicle is completely brand new, but the aluminium shell is more carryover. That aluminium shell costs a fortune. And if we did it this way, we could come to market quickly for the customer, and we could offer it at the prices you're seeing, which I agree with you is the best deal in the business, especially when you consider the incentive while it lasts. The vehicles really, it's very, very good value. It's the same price as a gas vehicle and outruns a Raptor. I don't think many times in history you would see that. So that's amazing. That approach has allowed us to do that. But we added Mega Power Frunk, bi-directional. So they're the things that people wanted in research. They wanted this tool to do things that no other truck ever did. So seems to have worked quite well, resonated well. I mean, a lot of our mix, I've got to tell you, a lot of our mix is the high-tech truck with the big screens. This is what people really mainly want. Fleet is some of the lower mix, but at the moment they want the really high-end stuff. So that's good. Overall, the vehicle was determined to make money, and it makes positive margin. So that's what it's set up to do. Unfortunately, commodity headwinds are hitting everybody, and they're a real problem. And the price of battery commodity parts have really gone up. So this is what we have to react to, and every car company has to react to at the moment. So, but they do go up and down, and the idea was to offer this thing very close to the price of gas, or actually the same, and that's our strategy. But then you're even seeing gas cars going up, right, because of commodities. So we have to adjust to that as the commodities go up and down. Everybody has to, because we do want them to be profitable. If they're profitable, then the company's motivated to make and sell more. That was actually one of the key attributes for Team Edison. We thought it was an awesome product, which it is, of course, but it started with profitable for the company, because if it's not, the company's not motivated to do that. You see, so we do have to make some adjustments, but overall the vehicle's margin positive, which means the more we sell, the more we make.
Fantastic. So a quick question about warranty, which I've had quite a few of my followers ask me questions about this. Now, there's an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty on the battery systems, and it is warranted against capacity loss. Not every automaker warranties against capacity loss. What Ford is guaranteeing is that 8-year, 100,000 miles, you'll have at least 70% of your original battery capacity. Now, the problem with that I've seen with capacity loss warranties for other manufacturers, Darren, is the customer doesn't have any feedback on that. They're going by the range of the vehicle. So, in the winter, they'll say, oh, wow, this is supposed to go 324. It's estimating 250 now. I've lost, I'm getting close to my warranty configuration. Warranty point with that kicks in, but that's just not the case. Manufacturers haven't allowed access to customers to know what their battery capacity is. Is that in consideration, where I can go to a Ford dealership and say, run a battery state of health report? I'd like to know where I'm at. Am I at 90%? Am I at 82%? Is that something that is even on your radar? And if it's not, I recommend it should be, because customers would like to know what their battery capacity is.
Yeah, so you mentioned correctly the warranty's there because people have concern. Will my truck last? Has it been a product made to last? So that's so important for F-150 and all Ford products. So that's why we offer the warranty. And as you can probably guess, our performance is much better than that target. Because if it wasn't, it would obviously be a big pull on the company having to replace all those batteries. So we're much, much better than that in real life expected use. And so yes, so that's one thing. You talked about, can the customers see that, and how do we manage that? I'm actually working on a couple of things: what we show and when and how to help the customer manage it. Our vehicles are actually warranted with 100% charge every day. You can charge to 100% every day at home. We know that DC fast charge wears batteries faster. We watch our customers' usage, and most people are charging at home and are charging to 100% every day. I personally actually feel like we should educate and nudge customers to 90. And they would be very happy with that, I think. And then when they go on a longer trip, they go higher. But we actually test to 100, and we warranty to 100. So yeah. But I think we can do better there. I actually think that if we do restrict to 90, we can, and people do that, we can actually give them more range over the air. And so I'm working on those things. I'm not ready with testing yet to do it, but that's what I'm working on, because I'd like to give them more. But if they're treating their battery more gently, why can't I give them even more? So we're working on that. You've got to think about the interface and what you tell people and education and so on. So all of those things. We also see the effective kilowatt hours, health of the vehicle. We're thinking about that. How do you manage that? What do you give people? What is available on the aftermarket? All of those things. We've got to think through it a little bit more, I think, before we bang the number around everywhere. I noticed that you see that on your cell phones now. You can see state of battery health, right, on the vehicle. So that's why I'll take that input. We're working on it. We're thinking about those things. The great thing now with over the air, all of this stuff can be modified live in the vehicle, and you can give improvements, and we can listen. At the moment, we listened on the Mach-E. I have hundreds of quality improvements that are coming over the air. Got a bit caught up on the Blue Cruise. The Blue Cruise was such a big update and so much update to the car. We halted it for a moment while we made sure the quality was right, and that held up some of our quality updates. Now it's flowing, and all those quality updates are coming through, including, I think I'm not allowed to say, but a HMI update for the vehicles, which is coming. I won't say a timing. It's coming soon, and that's really going to be an exciting update for people. But one of the ones I'm so proud of that the team worked on, they listened to what everybody said and they made significant changes to the HMI to the car. But you can update everything in the car, almost every module, even the gear selector. I'm not sure what we're going to do with the gear selector, but you can update it over the air. And you know, continuous improvement is our key here. We're watching customers. You know, we watch your channel, we watch the direct feedback, we watch all social media to see what people are experiencing and what they may want, and then consider what we think will work for them, and then we test it and we give it to them. So there's going to be lots and lots of these updates.
Fantastic. I hear you can even update over the air the tire pressure monitoring system.
Yeah, well, almost every module in the car, yes. So because we don't know what we're going to do with it yet, but because of something might come an idea later, right? And so, I mean, there's some I want to do, you know, on the Mach-E, that door lock system is made to be auto open. That's why it's got those pushers. I'm dying for the one that I want to automate when you walk out of your house and walk up to it and it just opens for you to help you in the morning, you know, or you got to be cautious with these, right? That you don't inadvertently actuate, but that's what it's designed for. And I have a whole team, we call it the always on team. These cars used to launch, then 3 years, do an MCA, we called it, mid-cycle action, which was sheet metal and interior. And then later on, an all-new car. We changed it completely. It's now called Always On. And the head of that for Mach-E is Donna Dixon, and you've met Donna. And then we've got Always On for Lightning, and the head of that is Linda Zhang, I know you've met, and Vince Mahi. So they're social media every day, watching customers every day, and quality and other improvements on the vehicle. So we're just continuous improvement now.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I think that might have been a low blow about the TPMS before. I was just joking about that little mini recall that we had, and it actually almost held up my delivery of my Lightning, but the dealership was able to take care of it. I went down to pick it up, and they were like, "No, you can't have this. It's under the safety tire pressure." And I went home with a very long face. But then I got a call from my salesman like an hour later, and he was like, "Tom, we have the download from Ford. We're doing it for you now. Come on back." So I was like, "Okay, I'll have check in hand." But,
we were watching all of that going on, and so they got it back pretty fast, right? So you know, we can do an over-the-air update, or we can have a downloadable from a dealer who can do that. And in the future, when customers have problems, we have these options. And having over 2,400 dealers, and nearly everyone is EV certified, can give support to customers. We don't know what the world's going to throw at us, but they can help the customer. And do you know, we can take a vehicle in, take the battery out, and repair a raise in the vehicle in that dealership, which means a customer will be back on the road in half a day, like changing other parts in the vehicle, instead of having to plan a battery replacement, which takes weeks and weeks because you can't hold these high expensive batteries in stock. They have to be shipped, and there's special shipping and special forklifts and everything. So that's going to be really important for our business customers or anyone who relies on their car, that we can fix that in so many locations. We had to train so many technicians for that.
Yeah. So I want to clear about the OTA update. The reason why I couldn't take delivery of my truck was I hadn't taken delivery yet. And when you're under safety recall, the dealership is not allowed to give you your vehicle. That's not a Ford rule. That's a law, if it's under safety recall. So that's why I had to have the dealership do it. Otherwise, Lightning owners that already had their truck, they could wait for the over-the-air update and do it that way. So I just wanted to clarify that. So here's a question I want to ask you. I know you're not allowed to talk about or not allowed. You choose not to talk about competing vehicles from other manufacturers. The Chevy is going to come out with their electric pickup truck. Dodge a little bit later. The Silverado seems like it has really good specifications. It's got the 800-volt battery system, which some people will say that's an advantage. It's going to charge faster. That's going to come out next year. You were pretty much first to market. Rivian beat you by a couple of months, but of the big three, Ford, Chevy, Dodge, are you concerned that people are going to view the Lightning as old tech in a few months when the Silverado is out? It's got some unique features and it has the Ultium battery system. Just thoughts on that.
So F-150 was designed to delight the customers that take the vehicle and be wonderful for usage in real life every day. So we're not worried about that because it was designed for the customers who are using it. That's one thing. Another thing is the Ultium, the Silverado is based off of the Ultium platform, and that's a similar platform to the Hummer. We're seeing 42 minutes charge time on the Hummer for the same, 10 or 15% to 80. So it's a larger battery. There's so many factors in there, isn't there, about efficiency of the vehicle, size of battery, and so on. So that vehicle is performing almost identically, even with an 800-volt system in the market. So I don't know how the Silverado is going to perform, but we didn't see any major change there. And also one more, which I may mention, is you might notice we're building a rather large factory over there, and our next generation of truck will also be launching in 25, and that's likely to have some improvements overall to the overall truck, as I'm sure you would imagine. So there's that as well. But really the most important thing is this vehicle is designed for customers to use right now. I am a complete addict since I got it. I love it every day. I use the front trunk every single day. I've got a little, I hit the button before I've even moved out of the truck. By the time I walk to the front, it's open. I hit the close button, walk away, and it takes care of itself. When I come back, I use my watch or the app to, and I open up the front, dump my stuff in there, hit the button as I'm walking around, sit back down and drive off. It is more convenient than my SUV. I have to walk around the back of that one and deal with the lift gate. I love it. So I think the truck's made to delight people right now, and each one who got it tells 10 more, it seems, and they're very excited about it. And if you open the front trunk up in a car park or a popular supermarket anytime, you'll be flooded with people, I find, every time I go out.
Oh, I've done that. Don't worry. So overall, Darren, I'm extremely happy with the vehicle so far. Quite honestly, it's everything I expected it to be. I've talked to some friends of mine that pickup truck owners their whole life. I've let them driven it, and I've talked to other people in the media that know trucks even more than I do, that have said the Lightning is one of, if not the best pickup trucks they've ever driven. These are people that have reviewed every truck out there. So you've absolutely nailed it. It's awesome, but it's not perfect. So now this next segment, I'm going to hit you with a couple of things that I don't love about the truck. Okay. So first off, the transition, when you're in one pedal driving, the transition between regenerative braking and acceleration, I think that needs to be smoother. It's kind of you're in no man's land for a fraction of a second, and then the vehicle lunges forward when you go between regen and acceleration. It just and that's all software. I believe you should be able to improve that. Is that something that you're aware of, or that's on your radar, or is it something that you haven't heard before?
Yeah, so that is that's of course that's the calibration because as you know, our vehicle has an advanced braking system, so they blend together. So whether you use one pedal or not, you can recover all of your energy. So our system has that. Actually no difference in efficiency whether you're in one pedal or not. You're talking about how it feels in that flow. That's a very personal thing. I've got to tell you, we're getting massive compliments from a lot of people. They're not professional EV drivers like yourself, so we're not getting much negativity about that. Again, it's really just a calibration. So we're listening to feedback. We're running it through, testing it with our teams, and we have different drive modes as well, so we can actually spread the drive modes a bit so that different people do like different things. So far it's been pretty positive. I'm aware of your feedback, but you're in the category of professional driver, I would say. So we're listening. Really, it's just a calibration, so it's really trivial to adjust. And that's in with the always on team. They're aware of that. They're doing some work on that. What I will say, during that work, I started looking at the acceleration traces and exactly how they transition. And we were showing some other people the vehicle, and we were doing acceleration. I was thinking, God damn, this thing feels fast. It's like it's the GT is 3.45 seconds. It doesn't feel that much faster. Like, how is it so fast? And then I looked at the acceleration trace. It's 0.93 G when you put your foot down up to about 35 miles an hour. So that is what you're feeling. It's crazy acceleration up to 35 miles an hour, and that's one of the things you're feeling. And it's it really pulls. So I noticed that while we were doing the acceleration traces.
Yeah. And talking about acceleration, that's going to be my next little niggle. It feels to me like you're giving the front motor too much power under initial stomping, because what's happening is I'm feeling torque steer. I'm ready for it now. So I grab the steering wheel, but when I first got it, when I really stomp it from a standstill, or even at a low, like 10, 15 miles an hour, you get on it 100%, it's pulling you, because all that power, the front wheels are pulling. And every time I let one of my friends drive it, I don't warn them of that ahead of time, but they experience the same thing. When they stomp on it, they're getting torque steer, because that front motor is, in my opinion, maybe getting a little bit too much power. Would you consider, I know it might shave a tenth of a second or so off of the 0 to 60 time, and everything's about how fast does it go 0 to 60. But I almost wish the rear motor got a little more power and the front motor got a little less under stomping acceleration. Is that something that have heard or considered?
So as I mentioned, the acceleration's insane. It's even faster than its 4.5 seconds official measurement is, and you see some companies measuring it, and they're reporting on what the performance they see. So we wanted to under promise, over deliver. You're seeing, and that initial acceleration is really something else. So that's what's happening. I mean, in the past, this was high performance sports cars at that kind of level. We know that with some famous names, it was that kind of level. So and I'm telling you that up to 35, it's even more than its 0 to 60 time show. So that's one thing. The team are looking at it. They heard it as soon as you talked about it. It's not actually torque steer. There's no torque steer. Yeah. It's how it might affect your center feel, but it doesn't steer left or right. That torque steer it pulls you. It doesn't actually do that. It's to do with.
It feels like it does, though. It really does feel like it's pulling me.
How the centering feels actually, right? That's what it is. And when we appreciate how hard it's pulling, we get some understanding of that. I mean, we can definitely use the modes. We can definitely back off one of them, push a bit backwards and forwards, and do it in the modes. So we are looking at it. We're considering it. It's our always on team. Before I make the change, I want to make sure it's what people want, though, because they are really loving that performance. I don't want them to have to step into sport to feel that amazing acceleration. So we're considering it before we make any changes.
Okay. Yeah. Because one thing that it's good that the Lightning shows you, it shows you the power meter between the power split between the two, the front motor and the back motor. So I can see, that it's getting the same amount of power as the rear, and sometimes even more under different circumstances, which I love. I also love the brake coach. That's great. A fantastic feature. maybe you could also add, right now it only works when you brake to a stop. I'd like to see that pop up when I'm like just driving down a long hill or something and I'm going down a hill, or when I brake for a long period of time but don't come to a stop. And it's not just for me. It, in my opinion, a lot about education. My channel, as you can tell, it's not just that I'm putting out content. A lot of it's aimed at explaining electric vehicles to people. What I love about that is it helps people new to EVs understand how brake recuperation works and under what conditions you're getting what percentage. So I think you could even add that during braking events that don't go down to zero, down to a standstill, because it's going to help people, especially with the truck. Now we're focusing on range and you're towing, you want to squeeze it every mile you can. If the truck can help the driver be more efficient and add more energy back to the battery pack, then give it to them. Let them put it right in their face like you do on that meter, and energy recuperation 90%. The next time they want to do 100%. So I like that. It's a great feature. Now I'm going to talk about some things that aren't unique to the fact that it's electric that I don't love about the truck. My sun visor. There is a spot to the left of my sun visor that isn't covered. And the sun always peeks right through it and hits me in the face. Now, you're Ford. It is inexcusable that your sun visor can't stop a little sliver of sun that peeking through the corner between the sun visor and the A-pillar. Okay, so that's something that I can't. You can't even talk your way out of it, Darren. It's a miss.
I've never heard that one. We sell a million a year of these things. I've never.
I don't care. Tom Malogany says it's defective.
Fair enough. I will feed it back. I mean, yeah, we're these things are, we're into continuous improvement. You can see one thing I love about these things, that half of people have never had a truck like this, and they're discovering truck stuff. So, all the little pieces they're discovering that we've had for years. The fact you can clamp things on the back, there's a bottle opener on the back, there's the steps coming up, all the things inside. They're discovering all these things that are just what trucks do. The best trucks do. That are just, they're delighting them. My family, love the power socket inside when they're traveling, and they can power things up at full speed and all of those. So I'm loving that as well. But we're all about continuously learning and continuously improving them.
Yeah, I love the clamp downs on the tailgate. I used them the first week I had it. I'm renovating my basement and I was doing a lot of stuff. I'm just mad I didn't record myself doing it because I was covered in sawdust all day long. I was using Pro Power on board with my circular saw and just ripping a whole bunch of 2x4s. And when I was done, I was like, I don't even have any proof of doing this. I could have used this in my videos, but there'll be other opportunities.
It's faster than getting the extension cord out. And your workhorse, right? You just pull the lift gate down and
right there
and plug it straight in. And it's crazy, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, I was at my house, so I could have used an outlet, but like you said, get the extension cord out, run a 30-foot extension cord from the garage. The outlet's 2.5 feet from the tailgate where you're doing your work. So it's fantastic.
Exactly right.
But that's not unique to Lightning either. Your other F-150s offer that also. Okay, here's another one. No numeric state of charge on the driver's display. It's one of the things that I've been consistent with and complained about other manufacturers that don't offer it. Also, I notice it comes up when I'm on hands-free Blue Cruise. At the bottom of the icon, it tells you what your numeric state of charge is, but that's the only time you can view that on the driver's display. Now, I know you've got the bar graph that goes down, and that's great. And I'm not saying eliminate that, but give us a little numeric. I'm a numbers guy, and I like to know a precise measurement of my battery state of charge. Now I have to go to the center display. I've got to hit vehicle. I've got to hit bat or charge, and then it shows you. I don't want to toggle through 2 or 3 menus. I want to look at my driver's display and see a numeric state of charge value.
Well, now I'm going to make your day. So you can have it on the center, like you said. You can do that. Well, if you are on your right side of your steering wheel, if you select, you can change the screen.
I've toggled through those. I haven't seen.
So
it's in there.
Calm screen. If you change to calm screen, that screen is made for EV aficionados, really, like the Mac E. It's a simplified display, and it gives you what we perceive as the most important only. And if you sit that, you will see the percentage. But I take your point. Maybe we put it on all.
I scrolled through and I put calm up, but I was at a standstill, and it just looked like it was like there was not much of. Does it show it even when you're in park, or
Oof, now
does
you're testing me. I know it shows it when you're
because
driving. I imagine it's not going to disappear when you stop. So it does show
I
the
have to
rate.
go take a look. So maybe that was my mistake. Maybe I just missed it. And that was really the only screen that I didn't really drive in, because as I was toggling through, it just looked like there wasn't enough for me. And I said, no, I want to play with the other things. So
You are
thanks for pointing
definitely on
out.
the more
As soon as this interview
yeah.
is over, I'm going out and putting it on there.
Yes,
So
and yeah, you're definitely on the more professional side. But we wanted to give choice. So
Yeah.
Mac E is a simpler display, and we wanted to have a simpler display available on the Lightning as well. So that's the one that it is.
Yeah, well, you could still do a little numeric number right in the middle of the power meter on the left in the other source. That would just be my suggestion if you could. I'd like to have both informations.
That's a good one.
And the last thing the last question I'm going to ask, and it's nothing that I've experienced yet, and I'm only bringing this up because now I've seen it in the forums. I've had at least 5 people message me about Charge Station Pro. I haven't installed mine yet. Sunrun delivered it to me. I need to do a service upgrade at my house. And I'm going to be making videos on how to install, how to do a service upgrade, how to do intelligent backup power. I'm going to order that system from Sunrun. We're going to put everything in. I'm going to have it all set up. So I'm going to do it all at once. That's why I haven't installed Charge Station Pro yet. But I'm getting feedback from my followers that there's problems with it, that it's been overheating on multiple people. Is that something that you're aware of? Is it an issue? Is it that they weren't installed? I know one person used, I think, the wrong wire when it was installed. But is this something that you're actively working on, that you're aware of?
Yes, if it's a customer's issue, it's something we're actively working on. If it's in social media, we're seeing it, because frankly, it's the best source of fast info, and our customers do a wonderful job of describing it beautifully, taking videos. I mean, this is great. This is helping us. So yes, we're very aware. I'll tell you what it is. The charge stations have a really excellent safety system in them, where they measure the temperature of the interface, even where you plug in case it was dirty contacts one day, and they measure all of that. And if they sense anything warm, they protect. So they're really, really safe. Well, we did all our testing, and it was set up, and it's set very, very cautiously. And then guess what happened? We're seeing temperatures in the country that really are higher than you normally expect, higher ambience. And we noticed that in some places, those high ambience add a little bit more from charging, and they're tripping over too quickly. So it tells you, it cuts down, and it tells you on your app that it stopped, and you plug again, it goes. So basically, it was set a little bit too sensitively. So we realized, we did some more testing. We can increase its sensing by about 10 degrees. And we've already done the software. We're just finishing testing. We're going to roll it out within a week or two. We're going to roll it out to all of the Station Pros, which are also connecting and can be updated. So that's all it is. It's the temperature sensor set a little bit too sensitive, and in a very hot ambient, which we're seeing, of course, now, is a bit too sensitive. So that's the answer. So again, social media helped us find it super fast, fix it super fast. And we had our first 2 installations of bidirectional for real customers last week, and they went really well. So I'm so excited about that. I'm going to get it in my home as well. And so we're watching that really carefully, seeing how the experience goes, learn from it. If anybody has difficulty, we're assisting with that. So that's something I'm so excited about, bidirectional.
Yeah, I'm actually going to order the system this week. I haven't ordered the intelligent backup power yet, but I'm going to call Sunrun and order the system this week, and hoping to get it installed sometime over the summer. And be a lot of content on that. We'll maybe chat about that once I get it up and installed.
I'll say one thing in these early days, because we're learning in a fast loop. We recommend Sunrun to do it. They're the biggest installer in the country. They're very experienced in solar, and they will offer also a zero cost down solar option for those who want it as well. I recommend those at the moment. We will sell the unit like Sunrun distribute it, and you can get any electrician to put it in. But I recommend in the early days you use Sunrun because we get an input every single evening from them. If they have any issues, it's straight back to us. And if a customer has a problem, we're going direct to the customers and fixing that problem. So yeah, in these early days, first time anyone's ever done a system like this at this kind of power level, that's my recommendation.
Yeah, and understood. They're the partner, that Ford's partner for intelligent backup power, and even Charge Station Pro. Sunrun shipped me my Charge Station Pro. Now I will say, with full disclosure, my channel here on State of Charge, we are powered by Qmerit. Qmerit is another one of Ford's installation partners for Mach-E, but not for F-150 Lightning. And what Ford is allowing, where Sunrun, you can purchase a system outright and have somebody else install it. As Darren said, they're recommending you go with Sunrun. Sunrun knows the system inside and out. They're going to have the most experience installing these systems, but it is up to the customer's choice on who they have install it. If you're a licensed electrician, you're a smart guy, and you want to take this on yourself, you can do it. You can just order the system and install it. But I know Darren wants to make it clear they're recommending you use Sunrun because this is a whole new system. Everything's new about it. There's going to be glitches here and there. We know that, even no matter how much Darren tested it. So I think it's important that you go with somebody that is very familiar with the system. I'm going to be using Qmerit. They're a sponsor of my channel here, and I know the Qmerit network, and I know they're very competent and can do this also. But take Darren's advice. Have Sunrun give you an estimate, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But you can get quotes and estimates from other people if you choose to. A lot of content on that coming up.
Our customers like choice. We understand, and many of them are in trade, and they can do this work as well. But installation requires pairing of the box and the machine and the vehicle as well, and all those things, right? So yeah, there's more to it than just wiring it up. And we will help anyway. As long as they're willing to, work through it, we'll help them anyway. So, but this is the early days. Just the first 2 have been installed. So, you're really in the early days. But I mean, when we did the boxes, the charge boxes for Mach-E, we thought everything, and we put them into one town, Chicago, and they weren't working. And we found out that the supply wasn't running at 60 hertz. It was outside of normal spec. So again, we made an update software and we changed it, but we hadn't anticipated it was that far out of specification because that's actually not in spec. So you can have these issues when you so many people's homes, across the country, so many providers. You can have these issues. So as long as we stay on them, we help the customer and we fix them quickly. That's that we can't be perfect, but we can react perfectly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, Darren, I want to thank you for coming on today. This was wonderful. I'm sure the F-150 Lightning community is going to really appreciate this. You answered some questions. You didn't run away from anything that I threw at you, and I always appreciate that. Thanks for coming on, and hopefully we can do this again someday after I have a little bit more experience with my Lightning, and I'm sure I'll find other things that I want to bother you about.
Thank you. In the meantime, keep finding stuff that you want us to improve, because I got a whole team working on it every day. So we're going to keep making it better and better.
Okay. Well, thanks. This is Darren Palmer, Vice President of Electric Vehicle Program, Ford Model E. Thanks for coming on, Darren, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Take care. Bye.
I want to thank Darren again for coming on State of Charge and talking with me for as long as he did and giving me honest answers to those questions. I told you, the guy's great. Hopefully I'll have him on the channel again sometime in the future. Now, I've already done a 70-mile-an-hour highway range test with my Lightning, and coming up I have my 10 likes and dislikes. That's probably going to be the next F-150 Lightning video I have out, my initial likes and dislikes, and then I also have a DC fast charging deep dive video. I've been DC fast charging it every time I have the opportunity, and I have probably a dozen recordings by now. I'm going to crunch the numbers all together and put out a master DC fast charging guide for the F-150 Lightning. Oh, and I also have a standard range F-150 Lightning that I'm going to be borrowing from a local dealer here, Maple Crest Ford. It's the dealership that I actually got my Lightning at. They have a floor model that's there for test drives. They're going to let me borrow it for a few hours so I can do the 70-mile-an-hour highway range test and charge recordings for a standard range F-150 Lightning. As you know, this is the extended range, so we're going to find out exactly how far the standard range Lightning will go at a constant 70 miles an hour, and then we'll see how long it takes to DC fast charge the smaller battery version of the F-150 Lightning up. So if this is your first time here on State of Charge, please don't forget, click that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming F-150 Lightning and general electric vehicle news, charge recordings, as well as my charging station reviews. And as always, thanks for watching.